All right, Zoom is a popular way to communicate with family and friends during this pandemic, but technology expert Dave Hatter tells us this free video conferencing tool also comes with some security issues, and Dave joins us live outside the Local 12 parking lot. And Dave, thanks so much for joining us to talk about this Zoom. It has just exploded in this time with people having to work from home or communicate from home, and that explosion has exposed some cracks in it, right?
I think that's an understatement, John. Thanks for having me as always. And yeah, there have been a lot of problems with Zoom. Even before it got so popular, there have been some security and privacy issues. But in the last 3 or 4 months, it seems like every day there's some kind of new issue that comes up around Zoom. And to your point, so many people are using it, it's created a lot of problems.
Tell us some of the typical kind of security breaches or app problems that people are seeing with it.
So probably some of the most major ones, again, there's been a bunch, is they claim to have end-to-end encryption, but then it was later determined that they didn't, and they kind of said, oopsies, yeah, you're right, we don't. Zoom bombing is a big one. Even the FBI's weighed in on this. Zoom bombing is basically you create a meeting and it's not secured properly, so literally anyone can compute what your meeting ID is and get in that meeting, which has led to all kinds of issues where, for example, school children are exposed to pornography and all kinds of crazy stuff like that, where people jump in these meetings. There have been a lot of questions about their privacy policy and how they'll use data that they collect from you. They were routing calls through China for a while. And another big issue in my mind from the privacy front, again, a lot of schools are using this for students working from home. You can record a Zoom meeting like you can on virtually all these video conferencing platforms, and these things were showing up out on the internet unsecured, where anyone could get in and see like a private conversation you might have had with a doctor or something, or school children. So it's just been a long laundry list of problems, unfortunately.
Yeah, and something that we never want to happen, I know with the iOS systems or with the Mac systems, that people are actually able to take control of cameras and microphones and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that was a fairly recent bug. Now, to Zoom's credit, their CEO has come out and frozen any new development for 90 days. They've increased their bug bounty so that hackers have an incentive to try to find these bugs, and they fixed a lot of these things. Many of the problems that have come up, they've jumped on and fixed pretty quickly. But now there's a class action lawsuit against Zoom around some of these privacy issues. So they're trying to address these things, but in many cases, and my issue with it is, they only seem to address them or care about these after it becomes a public problem for them.
So for people who've kind of adopted the Zoom environment there, are there ways they can protect themselves, or maybe are there alternatives to Zoom?
Yeah, John, both good questions, and the answer is both, yes to both. There are numerous alternatives to Zoom. Microsoft has a product called Teams, and a lot of people might remember Skype, another Microsoft product. Teams works great. We use it in Intrust all the time. Cisco's WebEx product is probably the granddaddy of all this stuff. It's been around forever, works really well, and there are others like GoToMeeting. So there are plenty of alternatives to Zoom. If you are deciding that you're going to stick with Zoom, one of the main things you need to do is set up a waiting room so that folks can't just join your meeting. Use a password for your meetings, and don't put that password out in public. Only send the password to people you want in the meeting. And then 2 other really important tips: you got to update the Zoom software. As they fix these bugs, you got to make sure you're getting those software updates in there. And then you need to learn how to use the tool. There is a way to kick someone out of a meeting and make it so that they can't return, but a lot of it involves getting some practice using the tool as the host so that you have control over that meeting, and if things go awry for whatever reason, you can control that and kick people out and shut people's mics down and that sort of thing. So you can secure Zoom, you just have to understand all these ramifications and make sure you're updating that software.
All right, Dave, thank you for that advice. And I don't know if it's just me, but the idea of being able to kick somebody out of a meeting is just so inviting. I just love that idea. All right, Dave, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a brave new world, John. Thanks.
Yes, it is. All right.